Yeah, I was amazed. When I heard the verse, I was amazed.
All right.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Right.
It's amazing how nice people can be.
All right. So we're going to do distance and midpoint, and it is not hard at all. It's actually really easy. Guys, we only have just a couple weeks left in this 9 weeks, so you're about to get report cards here soon.
Yep, my
So-
grades are.
Corbin, you need to calm down.
I didn't sleep at all last night.
Okay. So anything that you can make up, please make up. You're running out of time, okay? So especially those of you that are failing, make sure you make those up.
I don't think I'm on.
What? You only have like 3 more weeks. So this week and then 2 weeks.
I don't think I'm there.
All right, distance and midpoint. Find the distance between the pair of points. Just make sure, Ms. Walter said when you're doing your EDIA assignment today, to know what they're asking for. This one is asking for distance. So the way that we do distance is we do the Pythagorean theorem. And if you guys don't remember what that is, you will as soon as I write it. We do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Right. So all you're going to do is just like you do with slope. You're going to find your little triangle. Again, just like slope, rise over run. We have 4 on this side, 3 on this side. And that becomes your A and your B. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It doesn't matter which order you put them in. And then we're going to solve it. Okay.
You wanna know what Mr. Ford
No, I
was?
want you to stop talking while I'm doing notes, but thank you. We're going to put this in real fast. 3 squared plus 4 squared. We get 25 equals c squared. Now, the part that you may not have done yet is how you get rid of the square on this side. And all you're doing is taking the square root. And if we look at our calculator, the way we get the square root is we do second and then the x squared key, which is right here, okay? So second and the x squared key. And that'll put your square root there. And you just type in 25. And your distance is 5. It's going to be the same exact thing over and over and over again. Okay.
Wait, this has something to do with the bottom. Alright, so look on the line that's already drawn. If you go above, it goes up 5.
No. All right, look at your next one. We're going to do our rise and our run. So we have 2 and 2, and that will go in your a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Again, it doesn't matter what order you put it in, just as long as you put it in for a and b. Use your calculator, 2 squared plus 2 squared. That gives you 8. Now, tomorrow, we'll learn how to simplify square roots, but for now, I want you to give me the decimal. Did you notice anything on EDIA? Was there a problem with that?
No,
Or did they just put in-
They got around 2 places or 2 decimal places.
2 decimal places, okay. So we take the square root to get rid of that square. That's second x squared. And we do 8. And she said 2 decimal places. Please make sure that you round it correctly, 2.83. Do you know if it'll just take square root 8?
Well, we didn't try that one, we just did 2 decimal places.
Okay. And 2 decimal places worked as long as they rounded
Yeah,
correctly.
they had rounded to.
Okay, round it correctly and 2 decimal places will work. All right. Again, tomorrow we'll learn how to simplify this and keep it in square root form. We're just not doing it today. All right. We just want you to get this down first. All right. Same thing, make my little triangle. Be careful on this one. It's a rise 4, run 1. We're going to put that into our a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Doesn't matter what order you put them in. You could have done 1 squared plus 4 squared. It's fine. Put this in your calculator. So 4 squared plus 1 squared gives me 17. And then take the square root. And we get 4.12. Again, make sure you round correctly. If you have problems rounding, just ask us. Behind the 2 is a 3 that does not move it up. So you leave it the same. Gotcha. Okay, couple more. So this is a horizontal line. You guys can see that. There's no rise, but there is a run. But you don't have to do anything. And I'm going to show you the formula and why you don't have to do anything. All right, so there's no rise. There's a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to put your 0 squared plus 8 squared in your calculator. You get 64. But then when you take the square root, you get back to 8. So if it's a straight line, vertical or horizontal, all you have to do is count how long it is. So vertical or horizontal, count how long it is. So if we look at the next one, it's a vertical, so you just count how long it is. How long is it? That's it. So vertical or horizontal. No, we're not done. Just count. All right. So on the next ones, you can do a couple things. You can graph them if you'd like, or if you don't want to graph them, I'll show you a different way to do it. So I'm going to show you graphing first with this one, and then I'm going to take this sheet up. My kids wrote on it, sorry. I'm going to take this sheet up and then show you the rest of it, okay? So we have the points 3, 8, and 4, 7. We do our rise and our run, which is 1 over 1, okay? So we would do 1 squared plus 1 squared equals c squared. 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2. Again, if you don't trust me, we can put it in our calculator. Take the square root, and we get 1.41 equals c. And again, make sure you're rounding correctly. All right, so let me show you a little bit of a cheater method. I don't like to graph it because I'm a little bit lazy, and that's okay if you want to be lazy. Think about a number line. How far is it on a number line from 3 to 4? 1. That's where your first one comes from. How far is it on a number line from 8 to 7? And you can, yeah, you just need to do the positive. What's the distance? If you do -1, just make sure that you kind of plug it in parentheses. Okay, so it's not going to change it at all. All right, so when we look at the next one, how far is it? And you guys can use this up here if you need to, from -3 to +1. -3 to +1. That's where you got to be careful. How far is it? 4. How far is it from -1 to -7? Those are your two numbers you put into your Pythagorean theorem. So 4 squared plus 6 squared, or 6 squared plus 4 squared. You get 52. And then take the square root. And we get c equals 7.2 1 because the one behind it doesn't round it up. All right. Think about your number line. How far is it from 4 to -5? 9. How far from 0 to 1? 1. Those are your two numbers for Pythagorean theorem. 9 squared plus 1 squared is going to equal c squared. You get 82 equals c squared. Take the square root of 82. Round to 2 decimal places, that 5 bumps the other 5 up. So we get 9.06. Any questions? All right, so distance is Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. I think we have a couple more and then we do midpoint. All right. Same thing on a number line. How far is it from 6 to 3? How far is it from -2 to -1? Just 1. Doesn't matter what order you put it in. 3 squared plus 1 squared equals c squared. 3 squared plus 1 squared is 10. Take the square root of 10. And it's 3.16. The 6 does not get rounded up. 3.16. How far is it from 2 to -8? More? 2 to -8. How far is it from 2 to 0? And then 0 to -8 is?
I don't know.
2 to -8 is a total of 10.
Hey,
A total of
not
10.
after my birthday.
-8 to -1, 7. So 10 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. Put that in your calculator. 10 squared plus 7 squared is 149. And then we take the square root. Round it correctly, the 6 bumps the 0 up. So 12.21. All right, so that's distance. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. If you need to graph it, I think I have some graph paper up there if you need it. All right. You can also graph it on Desmos. You can put the coordinates in. Remember, you can put the coordinates in. It'll make a line between it, and then you can do your slope. Okay, so Desmos will help you on that as well. All right, so midpoint. To find the midpoint x coordinate, you add your x's and divide by 2. To find the midpoint y, you add your y's and divide by 2. We're trying to find the middle or the average, just like you'd average your grades. If you got 100 and a 50, you'd add them up, divide them by 2. It's the same thing. It's an average. All right, so for the first one, what are your two x coordinates? -7 and 5. We're going to add those together. Divide them by 2. You guys can do that in your calculator. It does not matter. I don't care. -7 plus 5 over 2, just like we did slope before. And we get -1. And then you have to do your y coordinates. What are your two y coordinates? -8 and -7 divided by 2. So -8 plus -7 divided by 2 gives us -15 over 2. And that's your midpoint. So if you write it as a decimal, that should be fine as well. Don't make it any harder than what it is. That is it. Okay. Add your x's divided by 2, add your y's divided by 2. So I'm going to look at 13. I'll come back to the other side. What are your two x's? 1 and -8. We're going to add them and divide by 2. You can also do it just like this on your calculator, 1 plus -8 divided by 2. I don't care if you give me the decimal, that's perfectly fine. To do your y's, add your y's, -5 plus 9, divide by 2, and you get 2. That's your midpoint. That is all you do. There should be no reason you don't finish your homework today. Okay, this is super easy stuff. All right, look at 15. What are your two x's? We're going to add those, divide by 2, so -5 plus 1 divided by 2 gives us -2. What are your two y's? -8 plus -6 divided by 2 gives us -7. That's your coordinate. We're going to go back and do 12 and 14. All right, so on number 12, what are your two x's? So 9 plus 4 divided by 2. So you guys can see it is 6.5. What are your two y's? So add those, divide by 2. And we get 6.5. If you have to put it as a fraction, math, enter. Okay. On number 14, what are your two x's? So add your 10 and -5 and divide by 2. And we get 2.5. Your two y's are -9 and 2. We're going to add those together. Divide by 2, and we get -3.5. That is your coordinate. So there's distance and midpoint. The hardest midpoint questions are the next ones, but I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. I'm going to show you the really hard way first, okay? So that you'll appreciate the easy way, okay? All right. So if we look at the next set, it gives us the end point and the midpoint, and it wants us to find the other end point, okay? So it wants us to find the other side. So the way that we can do that, this is the hard way, okay? I want you to appreciate my easy way, so we'll show you the hard way first. So this is what you would have to do. Okay, and I'm only going to show you one side of it. I won't do both sides. This is your midpoint x. This is your other x coordinate. And we're looking for this. We don't know what it is. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So what is our midpoint x? Find your midpoint. What's your x coordinate? 7. You are correct. What's the only other x coordinate we know? So we write an equation. Sorry, that should be an x. I was thinking and writing at the same time. It's hard. We don't know our other x, so we leave that, but we know that we divide by 2. So this is how you solve it. We need to get rid of that 2, so we multiply it. We get 14 equals 6 plus x. This is regular algebra you guys have been doing since day 1. And then we subtract 6. We got to get rid of that 6. So 14 minus 6 is 8. So your x coordinate is 8. You would do the same thing with your y, and I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then I'm going to show you the easy way, okay? I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to. You do your midpoint y, add your two y's, divide by 2. So your midpoint y is -2. The only other y coordinate you have is a 2. We're looking for the third one, divide by 2. Same steps, multiply by 2, we get -4 equals 2 plus y, subtract 2, and we get -6. It's a lot of work, right? Yeah, a lot of work. Too much for me, okay? So I'm gonna show you an easier way. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you this same one. You guys got that? I'm gonna show you the same one, but I'm gonna show you my little cheater method for it. All right. How far is it from 6 to 7? And we went up 1, right? So I'm gonna add 1 to my midpoint. That gives me 8. What was our x coordinate that we got? That's pretty easy, right? How do I get from 2 to -2? I go down, so that's a minus. 4. How many units was it away? 4. So I go down 4 and I get -6. I have to do all that. I don't have to do all that work. So we're going to look at it again. Okay. On this one, it's important that you tell me whether you go up or down because that tells you whether you add or subtract. Okay. So let's look at the first one. From -9 to -5, do you go up or down? Up 4. So we put a +4 underneath there. From -3 to +8, do we go up or down? Up, because we're going from negative to positive, we're moving up. And then how far is it from -3 to +8 on a number line? 11. -5 plus 4 is -1. 8 plus 11 is 19. That's your other coordinate. Okay. 8 plus 11. We went up 11, so we add 11. Okay. Yep. Okay. Look at number 20 for a minute. I'll show you an even different way. If you would like to graph it and use Desmos, you can do that as well. Sorry, I stuck my paper to the. So if we graph -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we graph 1, 2, 3, -3, you can do your rise and your run, and then do the same rise and run and get the other point that's down there. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. This to me is the easiest way. Okay, so let's do it again. How far is it from 9 to 9? 0. So we're going to add 0. How far is it from -9 to +10? 19. And we're going up, so it's an add 19. 9 plus 0 is 9. 10 plus 19 is 29. That's literally all you do, guys. Yeah, so much easier. All right, number 18. How far is it from 6 to -7? When we go positive to negative, that means we're going down, so it's going to be a minus. 6 to 7 is 13, so -13. How far is it from -3 to -10? We are decreasing, so it's a minus. 3 to 10 is 7. -7 minus 13 is -20. -10 minus 7 is -17. And you guys can do that in your calculator. It's not a big deal. Last one. How far is it from -1 to +3? We went up, not 2, but 4. So a +4. How far is it from 5 to -3? We go up or down? Down 8. So a -8. 3 plus 4 is 7. -3 minus 8 is -11. That is it. So these are the harder ones. Just because you got to think about positive, negative. The rest of them, you don't have to worry about positive, negative. Okay? Any questions? All right. You do have an EDIA assignment that you need to finish. If you finish that, then go back and make sure you do some makeup work. I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording.